Good morning everyone and welcome back to our distance learning program. So today is the last day of our week and it is also the third day of our new month already. So for today's lessons, we are going to study the speaking tutor for our first sessions. And for the second sessions, we are going to study the writing break 3 and we will recap what we have learned in that book. But for the first sessions, we are going to study the new language point, which is the lesson 3. And on this lesson 3, we are going to listen to the dialogue between two friends. That is why the title of the lesson is Dialogue and Practice. You will listen to the dialogue and at the same time, you will learn some new vocabulary related to the topics. So without any further ado, let us talk about what we are going to do in the first video sessions. So in the first video sessions, you are going to listen to a dialogue for 2 times. Okay, so for the first time, you need to listen in order to get a better idea of what the speaker in the dialogue are talking about. And when you finish listening to the dialogue for the first time, you will learn some of these new vocabularies. Some of these vocabulary will be appear in the dialogue. You will hear people use this word in the dialogue. And after you are familiar with all this vocabulary, we will look at the comprehension questions, and we have 3 questions to check how you get all the information from your listening. And this is the second time that you are going to listen to those dialogues. Now, without any further ado, I would like all of you to pay attention to the dialogue and make sure when you listen, you can read along the way. So this dialogue you can find on your speaking tutor book, which is on page 70. If you open your book to page 70, you will see the dialogue's conversation there. So everyone, I hope you will pay attention while you listen to the dialogue. Now, let's start.
Dialogue, my favorite book. There are so many movies playing today. Which one should we see?
Look at this movie poster. What movie is that for?
Oh, that's Matilda. It was one of my favorite books when I was younger.
I've never read the book. What is it about?
A young girl named Matilda loves to read, but her parents don't believe that she is intelligent. Still, Matilda gains a lot of knowledge from books.
When she finally goes to school, she is much smarter than the other kids.
Her teacher, Miss Honey, tries to put her in a higher level class, but Ms. Trunchbull, the headmistress of the school, doesn't let her.
Why is Ms. Trunchbull so mean?
I think she is evil because she is unhappy and lonely. She is mean to everyone.
How do they stop her?
Matilda discovers that she has special powers.
Does she use her special powers against Ms. Trunchbull?
Yes, Matilda uses her powers to write a warning on the board for Ms. Trunchbull.
Then what happens?
Ms. Trunchbull faints. The next day, Miss Trunchbull disappears without a word.
How does the story end?
Matilda moves up to the top class and lives happily ever after with Miss Honey.
Okay, well done everyone. I hope you finished your listenings. And as you can see, there are 2 or 3 people. They are talking about, okay, we will find out later. But now, let's focus on the vocabularies that you have heard from the dialogue. Okay, so let's start with the first vocabulary. So the first vocabulary, which is cottage. Okay, cottage. And cottage refers to a small house. In Khmer, we call tom, right? If someone who are living in a cottage, they are very poor because cottage mostly refer to a very small house in a countryside. Okay, so which one is the meaning of the word cottage here? Alright, so the meaning of the word cottage here is this one, a small house. So this one is number 1. Let's move on to number 2, which is refuse. Refuse, it functions as a verb. For example, when someone gives you money and you refuse to take it, which means you are not accept that money. You don't want to take that money and you refuse the money. So it is you not want to do something or you not want to get something. This is number 2. Number 3, recommends. So recommend, everyone, do you remember the word recommend? If someone asks you what is your favorite book, and then you say, okay, my favorite book is the BFG, and I recommend this book to you, it is very good to read. So recommend means to give idea, to give suggestions, okay, to give advice to somebody to do something. So recommend is a verb here. Number 3, suggest or give idea. Let's move on to number 4, and this one is very easy. We talk about power. Okay, so power. What does it mean, power? If you have a strong power, you have a lot of power, you can do a lot of things. So power refers to the ability to do something. In the context of technology, when, for example, let's say your phone has a lot of power, which means your phone can do a lot of things. It can handle a lot of tasks. Okay. Last but not least, which is disappear. So it comes from 2 different words. It comes from the word appear and the word dis. Okay, disappear. So this always associate with a negative meaning. Okay, so disappear, which means become impossible to see or to find. Okay, which is number 5. Let's say somebody from your country who disappeared 2 years ago. So disappear means you cannot find that person at all. Now I hope you get the idea of these 5 main vocabulary for today. So before we move on to the next and the last activity for the first session, which is the comprehension check, let's read the word that we have learned from this video again. So the first word is cottage. Pay attention to the word C here. It sounds okay. Cottage. Cottage, a small house. Refuse. Not want to do something. Recommends. 3 syllables. Okay. Recommends. Recommend means give, suggest or give idea. Number 4, power, the ability to do something. Last but not least, disappear. Okay, 3 syllables. Disappear. Okay, now I hope you get a better idea of the main vocabulary here. Now listen to the dialogue for the second time, and this time pay close attention to the information that you need to answer the question. These are the 3 questions. To answer the 3 questions, you need to listen carefully for the specific informations in that conversation. Number 1, where are the people and what are they talking about? Number 2, who are the main character in the story Matilda? Number 3, how does the story end? Alright, now everyone listen to the conversation again for the second time.
Dialogue, my favorite book. There are so many movies playing today. Which one should we see?
Look at this movie poster. What movie is that for?
Oh, that's Matilda. It was one of my favorite books when I was younger.
I've never read the book. What is it about?
A young girl named Matilda loves to read, but her parents don't believe that she is intelligent. Still, Matilda gains a lot of knowledge from books.
When she finally goes to school, she is much smarter than the other kids.
Her teacher, Ms. Honey, tries to put her in a higher level class, but Ms. Trunchbull, the headmistress of the school, doesn't let her.
Why is Ms. Trunchbull so mean?
I think she is evil because she is unhappy and lonely. She is mean to everyone.
How do they stop her?
Matilda discovers that she has special powers.
Does she use her special powers against Ms. Trunchbull?
Yes, Matilda uses her powers to write a warning on the board for Ms. Trunchbull.
Then what happens?
Miss Trunchbull faints. The next day, Miss Trunchbull disappears without a word.
How does the story end?
Matilda moves up to the top class and lives happily ever after with Miss Honey.
Well done, everyone. I hope you get a better ideas of what the conversation is. Now let's check the answer with me all together. So number one, where are the people and what are they talking about? So in this situation, they are talking about movie poster, isn't it? So where can you find the movie poster? Sure, it may be in the movie room in our school or in the public place, and specifically in the cinema. If you go to the cinema, you can see there are a lot of movie posters promoting their movie. So in this situation, they are at the movie theater, or they are at the cinema. And what are they talking about? When they are about to watch the movie, they are talking about their favorite book. Why they are talking about their favorite book when they are at the cinema? Can you guess this one? Sure, because the movie that they see on the poster based on the speaker's favorite book, which is Matilda. Let's move on to question number 2. Who are the main character in the story Matilda? The main character in the story is Matilda herself, which is a small kid who is very smart. The last question, how does the story end? So at the end, Matilda discovered that she has a power, which is special power, the ability to do things. When she is in the school, Miss Honey, which is her homeroom teacher, really like her, but Miss Trunchbull is not like her at all. So at the end, Matilda used her special power to make Miss Trunchbull disappear, and that is for the end of the story. So everyone, if you are interested in the story Matilda, you can read those books, because if you said you don't like reading, I strongly suggest you start from reading those type of books, because those books are written for children and the words are very easy, and build the habit of reading from those easy to the hard one. Start your reading by a small step, picking up the book which is easy to read, and then picking up another book which is a little bit difficult based on the label, and sooner or later you will fall in love with the book and you will love reading. As you know, when you read, you will learn a lot. As someone said, the more you read, the more you know. So everyone, I hope you are interested in reading, and now it's come to the end of our first video session, and I hope to see you again in the next one that we are going to study writing right 3. Now everyone, goodbye and see you again in the second session. Goodbye.